Hey there guys, welcome to Dino's Vault once again. Here is the much awaited comparison video all you guys kept requesting for. Yes, in this video the Dominar takes on its competition. I've included all the bikes you guys asked me to compare it with. Let's see whether the Dark Knight or the Batman of motorcycles has what it takes to outwit his foes, outsmart his enemies and come out victorious at the end of this epic battle. Usually when a new bike is launched and thrown in amidst some intense competition, we see it trying to bring something special to better its rivals and to grab everyone's attention. Now since the Dominar has almost set a whole new benchmark in terms of redefining value for money completely, in this comparo we'll bring in all the competition against it to see whether anything else can match the powerful presence of the Dominar, better the sheer practicality of the Dominar, or even equal the amazing equipment that comes with the Dominar. Now please note that some of the bikes featured in this, according to me, are not supposed to be compared at all with the Dominar 400 because the Dominar is something unique. It's truly one of its kind. It's a whole new breed that offers the comfort of a cruiser and the power of a sport bike. Bajaj choose to call it a power cruiser, something in line with the Ducati Diavel. In my personal opinion, if only there's any other bike in our market that can be compared with the Dominar, it has to be the Mahindra Mojo, because both offer unique styling, both come across as hardcore tourers, both have a versatile character, which means you can use these bikes on a daily basis as well, and at the same time rip them through the highways and carve them through the canyons on weekends. I will, however, compare the rest of the bikes mentioned in the title with the Dominar, like the Duke 390, the Classic 350, the Thunderbird 350, and even the Himalayan. Yes, the Himalayan too can be compared with the Dominar to some extent despite being a dual sport motorcycle, because the Himalayan is primarily meant for off-roading or helping you explore places where there are no roads. At least being a tourer is part of its dual personality, hence we can compare it with the Dominar to some extent. Now, Bajaj made clear statements before and during the Dominar's launch that they are primarily targeting at Royal Enfield's market share by launching the Dominar. What they meant there was to target the price range in which RE bikes are available and outmatching them by offering some modern features that the RE bikes lack. Now please note that the Classic and Thunderbird fall into a completely different category of being retro classic bikes that offer motorcycling in its purest form. They are almost like unplugged music. Now yes, the Dominar is light years ahead of the Royal Enfield bikes in terms of technology and other modern features, but the Royal Enfield bikes are bought because of their rich heritage and their classy vintage styling. The ageless design of a Royal Enfield Classic is so divine that even your grandchild would love to ride it a few decades down the line. So in this comparo, we'll start out by comparing the Dominar with a bike it is supposed to be compared with, which is the Mojo. Then we'll compare it with the Duke 390 because the Dominar 400's engine is derived from that of the Duke 390. And finally, we'll compare it with the Brigade from Royal Enfield. Well, all this was just introduction. Now let's get into the actual comparo, and we're going to start first with the Mojo. Now the Mojo is an amazing motorcycle. I love the chassis, I love the suspension setup, especially the chunky upside down forks it has on offer. Together these ensure superb handling and great high speed stability. Adding to this is the longer wheelbase of 1465 mm, that's around 12 mm more than that of the Dominar. Plus we also get the super sticky Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2 tires, which are undoubtedly the best in terms of offering superb road grip. The Mojo also gets a 1 split into 2 dual exhaust setup that looks and sounds amazing. The Mojo gets a higher ground clearance of 173.5 mm, which is nearly 16.5 mm more than that of the Dominar. Finally, the Mojo really nails it with its large 21-litre fuel tank, which is crucial for a tourer. Well, so far the Mojo seems to have the upper hand. Now where the Dominar steps in is with its insane value for money proposition. First of all, there are mixed opinions in the market about the way the Mojo looks. Some like it, whereas some don't. Well, the Dominar gets such a stunning design that it has been a universal favorite ever since it was first showcased a couple of years back as a concept at the Delhi Auto Show. What I like about Bajaj is that their production variants are nearly 90% the same as their concept variants, something that we don't see happening with other manufacturers usually. Anyway, I believe the Dominar looks more stunning, more commanding and more appealing when compared to the Mojo. Secondly, the Dominar gets loads of equipment like the beam perimeter frame, the metal swing arm, the chunky 43 mm front forks, the rear monoshock with dual springs, a slipper clutch, stunning looking LED headlights, gorgeous looking alloy wheels, the reverse lit LCD display for the instrument panel, and then of course we have dual channel ABS available as an option. Plus, we have the unbelievable pricing that simply blows away the Mojo. Now, coming to the riding experience, the Mojo offers that rev me harder kind of a feel and all the adrenaline rush you hope for. The vibrations are very minimal and almost non-existent. The throttle feels a little heavy though on the Mojo compared to that of the Dominar. On paper, the Dominar puts out more power and more torque compared to the Mojo, but the power delivery is nice and smooth and linear on the Dominar. The suspension on the Mojo is slightly on the harder side to offer better performance. The Dominar, however, gets just the right suspension setting to offer a perfect balance of comfort and performance. The pillion seat on the Dominar offers slightly better room as well. The clutch is lighter on the Dominar. The engine is a lot smoother and more refined compared to that of the Mojo. Despite getting a 320mm disc just like the Dominar, the brakes on the Mojo are not confidence inspiring and do not do justice to the superb road grip that the Pirelli tires have on offer. The Dominar with dual channel ABS and the 320mm front disc offers superb stopping power, as you can see here. I slam on the brakes at nearly 100 km per hour and you can see how quickly the bike comes to a standstill with the ABS kicking in. Please note that ABS has its own set of limitations, so don't rely completely on ABS. Ride responsibly and always stay alert, because that gives you those precious extra seconds to react early and save yourself from any impending danger. Now, mileage wise, I believe the Dominar will be able to deliver slightly more than the Mojo. However, mileage should be the last thing one should be thinking about when looking at bikes around 300 to 400 cc. Also, pricing wise, it's the Dominar that simply walks away with the victory here, because the dual channel ABS variant itself is cheaper by around 25,000 rupees when compared to the Mojo, which is a really huge margin. Now next we'll compare the Dominar 400 with the Duke 390. Again, personally, I feel the Duke 390 is a completely different motorcycle and shouldn't be compared with the Dominar. The Duke 390 is a bike built with racing technology. It is lightweight and comes with a rigid chassis and suspension. It is a street bike on which you can do a bit of touring, whereas the Dominar is a hardcore tourer on which you can do a bit of daily commuting as well. To help you understand more easily, the Dominar 400 is like a one-day international 50 overs cricket match, whereas the Duke 390 is like a T20 match with the power play on for all 20 overs. Yes, that's how insane and brutal a monster the Duke 390 actually is. Apart from the fact that the Dominar borrows the Duke 390's engine, everything else that each of these bikes offer are poles apart. The Duke 390 comes with a power-to-weight ratio of 300 PS per ton, which is even more than that of the Aston Martin DB9. As a result, the Duke 390 shoots you through the streets like the Flash is running to save someone. The Duke is insanely fast, it is incredibly thrilling, and undeniably the only motorcycle in our market to offer maximum fun and unlimited excitement with a super ballistic top end. And we all know that the new Duke 390 is already on its way and should be here by early 2017, and trust me, it looks sharper, meaner and faster than ever before. As of now, the Duke 390 puts out 43.5 PS of max power and 35 Newton meters of torque, so it puts out nearly 8.5 PS of more power when compared to that of the Dominar. It puts out the same amount of torque though, but when you look at the weight, the Duke 390 weighs way too less, and hence the acceleration that the Duke offers is on a completely different level altogether. Where the Dominar scores over the Duke 390 is with its all-rounder capabilities and with its versatile nature. First of all, the bike looks amazing with that superb LED headlamp setup, undoubtedly one of the best in our market. The saddle is a lot more comfortable when compared to that of the Duke, though the Duke did get a softer seat with the slipper clutch update. Also, this time around I did nearly around 80 to 100 kilometers on the Dominar, which included city roads and highway stretches. And the one thing praiseworthy is that there was no engine heating apparent. Now the Duke also got this sorted out last year, with the radiator fan assembly being repositioned to blow the hot air downwards rather than sideways, but I still feel the Dominar gets a more effective cooling system here. The suspension on the Dominar is perfectly balanced to offer a lot more comfort compared to the balls-shattering stiffer suspension setup of the Duke. Now mind you, the stiffer suspension does translate into better performance on the track and better stability on the highway. The Dominar suspension setup, however, offers a perfect blend of great comfort at lower speeds on city roads and great stability at higher speeds on the highways. The pillion seat on the Dominar offers better room compared to that of the Duke. The seating posture is more relaxed on the Dominar compared to the slightly more aggressive riding posture on the Duke. Power delivery is a lot smoother and there are no vibrations apparent, at least up to speeds of around 110 km per hour on the Dominar. The ABS intervention is slightly smoother on the Dominar when compared to that of the Duke 390. The gear ratios on the Dominar are perfectly matched for city riding as well as highway riding, which means you can amble around in 6th gear at around 70 to 80 km per hour and rev it all the way up in no time. Now this comes courtesy of the flat torque curve that the bike boasts about. For the Duke 390, the first 3 gears are on the shorter side and the next 3 gears get taller ratios. You would hardly be using the 5th gear within the city, let alone the 6th gear. The 6th gear would only come into the picture on the highways. Mileage wise, I believe the Dominar would score higher because Bajaj engines are always known to be frugal. The dealer claims around 25 to 30 kmpl depending on our riding style, which is extremely decent for a 373cc bike. Again, the clincher here is the pricing. The Dominar is considerably cheaper than the Duke 390, making it an outright winner. Next, we'll be bringing in the Royal Enfield Himalayan. The Himalayan is again a proper dual sport motorcycle that comes with a superb chassis and suspension tuned by Harris Performance to take on almost any kind of terrain, anytime and any place. It again is a one-of-a-kind motorcycle because there's no other bike that offers a true to the spirit adventure sport character in the affordable range. Looks and design wise, again there have been mixed opinions about the bike, but I love the way it has come out. It has this post-apocalyptic kind of a design theme. It almost feels like a vehicle straight out of the world of the Mad Max. It looks rugged and well built to take on any terrain. It comes powered by the most exciting and rev-happy engine to have featured on a Royal Enfield motorcycle to date. It's also the most refined engine to date found on an RE bike. The seat foam is ultra comfortable. Also, another commendable thing on the Himalayan is the miraculous combination of usable seat height and amazing ground clearance. Even with 220 mm of ground clearance, the bike gets a practically usable seat height of 800 mm, which is superb. Now coming to the points that could have been better for the Himalayan, first of all, it lacks tubeless tires. I do understand that larger spoke wheels can take a lot more punishment off-road when compared to alloy wheels, but just in case the bike runs a flat tire, you feel as if you are doomed for the day. Also, lack of ABS is another downer, and I'm hoping that Royal Enfield will introduce it at least as an option soon. Now, though the Himalayan and Dominar weigh the same at 182 kgs, the Dominar feels easier to maneuver through city traffic. The lowered center of gravity on the Dominar offers great balance and control on the tarmac. Also, though the Himalayan gets a nice and refined engine, the Dominar feels a little more refined comparatively. Also, the clutch feel is a lot lighter on the Dominar thanks to the slipper clutch. The throttle action is a lot lighter on the Dominar as well compared to that of the Himalayan. Also, the Dominar gets a 6-speed gearbox, whereas the Himalayan gets a 5-speed gearbox. The gear ratios are taller on the Himalayan, wherein you can do nearly 40 km per hour on the first gear itself. This is to offer adequate power and thrust while doing off-roading. Now coming to the Dominar, the gear ratios are well matched to offer adequate power and thrust throughout the rev band. Now mileage claim for the Himalayan is 33.5 kmpl, which is amazing, but I think it would be reasonable to expect anything around 25 to 30 kmpl from a 411cc bike. Now Bajaj bikes are usually quite fuel efficient, and with the triple spark technology that promises better fuel efficiency and lower emissions, I'm hoping that the Dominar would end up offering better figures in real world conditions. We need to wait and see what the user feedback is once the deliveries commence, but as of now the dealers claim around 25 to 30 kmpl for the Dominar 400. Finally, again the Dominar wins the price battle here hands down because it is around 7,000 rupees cheaper than the Himalayan, and it also gets various goodies like slipper clutch, ABS, etc. Now coming to the final segment, here I'll compare the Dominar with the Classic 350 and the Thunderbird. And as mentioned before, I'm doing this because several of you guys requested me to do this comparo, because I believe the Classic and Thunderbird fall into a different category altogether considering what they have on offer compared to the Dominar. As mentioned earlier, the Classic is an evergreen bike that will live on forever even for the coming decades. People buy it for the rich heritage and classic vintage styling it offers rather than hoping for some state-of-the-art electronics. Royal Enfield too have kept their formula simple by believing in themselves rather than getting carried away by what's happening around them. The Thunderbird on the other hand is a cruiser motorcycle but with a slightly taller stance, so it is almost like a tourer. It also gets some slightly modern elements like the projector headlamp and the 5 vertical strip LED tail lamp setup to appeal to the bikers of this generation. Engine specs wise, both the Classic and Thunderbird are almost identical, putting out the same power and torque figures. To know some significant differences between the Thunderbird 350 and the Classic 350, I would suggest that you watch my Thunderbird 350 review by following the link appearing on the screen right now. Now, where the Dominar scores well and truly over the Classic and Thunderbird is with the state-of-the-art electronics it has on offer. It gets all the modern features like the perimeter frame, the metal swing arm, the larger front disc, slipper clutch, ABS, etc. The Dominar also gets tubeless tires with a large 150 section rear tire. Now mind you, these are low profile radial tires specially developed for the Dominar to offer superior road grip. Now the Dominar is meant to be a power cruiser or a sports cruiser that combines the performance of a sport bike while offering the comfort of a cruiser. Hence, where the Dominar scores well and truly over the Classic and Thunderbird is with the amazing equipment it has on offer, the super refined engine it gets, the lighter clutch it features, and the superb suspension setup it carries. Also, the Dominar is 5 kgs lighter than the Classic and 10 kgs lighter than the Thunderbird. As a result, it is easier to steer through the city traffic comparatively. Now, mileage-wise, my friends who own the Classic and Thunderbird are getting close to 40 kmpl. Well, that's because of the modest power figure of 19.8 bhp and 28 Newton meters of torque. The Dominar puts out considerably more power at 35 PS and 35 Newton meters of torque, thereby offering a more exciting riding feel. Also, the Dominar gets liquid cooling and fuel injection and triple spark plug technology, whereas the Classic and Thunderbird are carbureted, are air cooled and get twin spark technology. The Dominar gets a 6-speed gearbox, whereas the RE bikes get a 5-speed gearbox. So the Dominar falls into a completely different league altogether and offers much more value for the money it demands. Now coming to the final verdict, if you want a hardcore performer that offers unlimited fun and a ballistic top end, it has to be the Duke 390. If you want a hardcore tourer that comes with a superb chassis and suspension setup, a bike that offers good performance and can be used on a daily basis, it has to be the Mojo. If you want a bike that will help you explore the unknown and make your every ride an adventure, it has to be the Himalayan. And if you want a bike with a rich heritage and a royal legacy, something that will live on forever and enjoys a high resale value, it has to be the Classic 350. Finally, if you want the best value for money bike currently on sale here in our market, something that you can use on a daily basis, a bike that you can take out for weekend rides, and a bike on which you can go touring, it has to be the Dominar. It is unbelievably priced, comes completely equipped, and looks absolutely stunning. Hence, the Bajaj Dominar wins this comparo here and would undoubtedly dominate the competition for the coming months in terms of offering maximum bang for your hard-earned buck. Well, that's about it for now. I just hope you found this video useful. Until next time, this is Dino saying ciao. Take care, God bless, and ride safe.